sister stole my wedding dress and wore it to her own secret wedding the day before mine, then had the audacity to show up to my wedding in a white backup dress. So I made sure everyone knew exactly what kind of person she really was. I felt physically sick looking at those photos. Not only had Emma stolen my dress, but she deliberately planned her wedding for the day before mine. She'd kept her entire relationship secret so she could pull off this stunt. The level of calculation and malice required to orchestrate something like this was breathtaking. My parents' reaction was predictable. They were shocked and disappointed, but they immediately went into damage control mode, trying to minimize what Emma had done and find ways to smooth things over. They suggested that maybe Emma had been planning to surprise everyone and things just got out of hand. They begged me not to make a scene and to try to work things out quietly as a family. With one day until my wedding and no dress, I was in full panic mode. David was incredible during this crisis, holding me while I cried and helping me brainstorm solutions. We called every bridal shop within 100 miles, but finding a dress that fit properly with such short notice was nearly impossible. Finally, David's sister offered to lend me her wedding dress from 2 years ago. It wasn't the style I dreamed of, but it was beautiful and fit reasonably well with some quick alterations. The morning of my wedding, I was trying to focus on the positive. I had a dress, I was marrying the love of my life, and I was surrounded by people who truly cared about me. I decided not to let Emma's cruelty ruin what should be the happiest day of my life. Then Emma showed up to my wedding. She walked into the church wearing a white cocktail dress, as if nothing had happened. She had the audacity to hug me and compliment how beautiful I looked, acting like the loving sister who was so happy for me. She introduced her new husband to my wedding guests, playing the role of the proud sister sharing her joy on my special day. I was stunned into silence. The sheer brazenness of showing up to my wedding after what she'd done, wearing white no less, was beyond anything I could have imagined. But what really broke me was watching my parents welcome her with open arms, hugging her and her new husband and acting like everything was perfectly normal. That's when I realized that if I didn't stand up for myself, no one ever would. Emma was counting on me to keep quiet, to not make a scene, to prioritize family harmony over my own dignity. She was banking on the family dynamic that had protected her our entire lives. During the reception, when it came time for the traditional speeches, I stood up and asked for everyone's attention. I thanked everyone for coming and for their love and support. Then I told them exactly what had happened. I explained how Emma had stolen my wedding dress, worn it to her secret wedding the day before mine, and then shown up to my wedding in white as if nothing had happened. The room went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Emma's face went white, then red, then white again. She started to stammer some excuse about it all being a misunderstanding, but I wasn't finished. I told everyone about years of Emma's behavior, how she'd manipulated situations to always come out looking like the victim, how she'd borrowed money from family members and never paid it back, how she'd sabotaged my relationships and opportunities throughout our lives. I laid it all out calmly and clearly, letting everyone see the pattern of behavior that had been excused and enabled for far too long. Emma tried to leave, but I asked her to stay and face what she'd done. I told her that for once in her life, she was going to be held accountable for her actions instead of having everyone make excuses for her. My parents were mortified, begging me to stop, but I'd spent 31 years being quiet and accommodating, and I was done. The aftermath was swift and decisive. Most of the wedding guests were appalled by what Emma had done. Several family members approached me afterward to apologize for believing her stories over the years and to share their own experiences with Emma's manipulative behavior. Apparently, she pulled similar stunts with other people, but everyone had stayed quiet to avoid family drama. Emma and her new husband left the reception early, but not before she tried one last manipulation tactic. She approached me with tears in her eyes, claiming that she'd only taken the dress because she couldn't afford her own and that her wedding had been a spur-of-the-moment decision. She said she never meant to hurt me and that she thought I'd understand because we were sisters. I looked at her and said that sisters don't steal from each other, sisters don't lie and manipulate each other, and sisters don't try to upstage each other on the most important day of their lives. I told her that I was done enabling her behavior and that she needed to face the consequences of her actions for once.